Do you have the same sentiments that many people have today that are a part of, of the groups like the NAACP and others who
I
have?
used to be a member of the NAACP, but then after I looked at some of the things they were doing, I quit. I dropped out of the NAACP and quit making contributions because they became too left for me.
So let's talk about some of the things that they were doing. The NAACP. What rubbed you the wrong way? What made you no
Well,
longer want to
it's
send in
always
contributions?
a lot of little things that add up, and I can't say this is it.
Sure,
But
sure, sure.
there's a lot of little things over the years, and I say, okay, that's it.
What about
I've
this?
had it with the NAACP. I try to make, as Shakespeare said, to thy own self be true. I try to be true to myself. Well, I stopped watching the NFL.
Sure.
Although I did cheat a little bit. I watched the Super Bowl this year, but
Sure.
prior to that, I hadn't watched an NFL game in about 4 years.
Are you serious?
And here's the reason why. You remember Kaepernick taking a knee?
Yes. Colin.
Okay, so I went online and I looked at what the players are obligated to do, and it says they are obligated to stand during the national anthem, and the NFL would not endorse that. Okay, that was, for lack of better description, strike one. Strike two, there were some police officers assassinated in near Dallas, Texas. The Dallas Cowboys wanted to make tribute to them by putting something on the helmet to pay tribute to those officers.
Right.
The NFL said no.
Wow.
Strike two, George Floyd comes along, and the NFL let them put BLM on the back of the helmet. I said, strike three, I'm through with you, NFL.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
So,
And so what you're pretty much saying is you saw the leftist indoctrination that the NFL was pushing.
yes,
And you have a choice to tune in to the NFL or not.
exactly.
And instead of watch this insanity take place right before your eyes, you chose to just not watch it and to forego
Exactly.
seeing it. Which also speaks to your values and to your morals. I would say personally that the NAACP has deviated greatly from their mission.
Yes,
It used to be about the advancement of colored people, but today, from the way I see it and having a biblical worldview, it's not about the advancement of colored people. It's about the advancement of queer people, all right?
yes,
And people who practice lifestyles that the Bible speaks against.
yeah, exactly.
And do we hate those people? No, we don't. We love those people, but we do know that if they remain in their sins, then they will not make it to heaven, right? And also the counterproductive statistics as it relates to the impact that that lifestyle has on a person's mind and body. It's not beneficial. It's been said that homosexual sex removes nearly 20 to 25 years off of a man's life. So the most loving thing I can do for a person who's in that lifestyle is to persuade them with love and with truth to deviate from that kind of living. You know, in Genesis 1:27, the Bible keys in on the fact that we're created male and female. Then in
Yes.
verse 28, it talks about three critical things that's significant from the male and female construct, which is number one, you can replenish the earth and you can multiply, and it's fruitful. The queer lifestyle won't lead towards multiplication or replenishing or being fruitful because God's design is male and female coming together, bringing forth life.
Yes,
That can't take place when it's 2 men or 10 men at that, 2 women or 10 women at that, right? But it's only when you do it God's way. Now, that was one of the critical things that led to me wanting to distance myself from the NAACP. Ben Jealous, when he took over, he had to find a creative way to get the NAACP out of the red. They were hemorrhaging memberships and funding. And he took on the issue of the LGBTQIA plus agenda, which also led them to create what they call a progress flag. And in that flag, they include a brown stripe and a black stripe, which represents Black Americans. And what they're saying is that the struggle for the LGBTQ community in our country is tantamount to what you went through. The struggle through Jim Crow.
Yeah.
Which is, yeah, man, that's a distasteful and dastardly statement.
It is.
To have someone full stop do that and to equate the things that you have gone through in this country as a citizen, fighting for your country, putting your life on the line, being a part of the do line and everything in between, right? To say that a person's sexual persuasion equates to what you went through, that's a slap in the face.
Yes.
Wouldn't you agree?
It is. It is. Speaking of the NAACP, I have a story that you may or may not be aware of. But Mfomi, am I pronouncing this?
Yes.
When he was president,
yes,
and Teresa Hines, am I remembering correctly?
Yes.
She was speaking at the NAACP. This is back several years, obviously, and she said she was an African American, and he got upset. What do you mean you're an African American? And she said, I was born in Africa. Where were you born?
Oh, are you serious?
Serious, it's a heart attack.
That's good. That's good. You know, also one of the things that I want to key in on from your story is that you always remain gainfully employed. You didn't allow the Great Society, Lyndon B. Johnson era to cause you to be subservient to government.
Well, I had, let me tell you how I started off working for the government when I got out of the military. I worked for the post office. Mm-hmm. And a friend of mine, he was about the same age as I, 1 or 2 years, and I saw him one day with a coat and tie and a briefcase. Mm. And he says, what are you doing? He says, I sell life insurance for Prudential. And of course, I can't sell anything that I don't personally believe in. Mm. And I said, well, I like that, and but I had an insurance policy with Metropolitan Life. Mm. So I went to see to Metropolitan Life and see if they had any openings. Mm. And I had been at the post office for, at that point, 3 or 4 years. I forget, sure. The years melt away. And I remember one of my coworkers, you're going to leave your good government job and go into the private sector? I said, yes, because I have confidence in me.
You wanted to test the free market.
Yes, and the reason, because I can't sell anything I don't believe in. I sold life insurance for Metropolitan Life for a couple of years, and I had a tragedy that happened which caused me to change that because I thought that was going to be my professional. In fact, I even took the Chartered Life Underwriters course, Part 1, and it comes in 3 different parts. That's how serious I was, but something happened that made me change my mind. Where was I going now?
You took the test. You believed in yourself more than the government. Yep.
Senior moment.
It's all right.
Oh, where was I going with that? That's what happens with me. Sometimes I start to tell a story and I get ahead of myself, and then I forget to go back to where I left off.
Yeah. We'll edit all that. But okay. You talked about the Prudential Test 1.
Oh yeah, because I can't sell anything that I don't believe in.
That's
when
right.
I left Metropolitan Life, I worked for the Chamber of Commerce. Mm-hmm. Okay, and I was offered a job by a whiskey distributor there in the District of Columbia because he liked my presentation.
Right.
And then I was offered a job by National Beer, which makes Colt 45, and that sounded intriguing.
Right.
And again, I have to be loyal to myself. I don't like Colt 45. I drink Budweiser. So I went to Anheuser-Busch, had a branch operation. So I said, I'm going to see if they have an opening. And they did. And as they say, the rest of the story is history because I spent 31 years with them.
Yes. And one of the things that you did show more than anything is that you believed in yourself more than you believed in the government.
Yes.
And you knew that the government would only give you enough to keep you subservient.
Exactly.
but that there was much more that you could do with your hands, with your feet, with your mind,
Yes.
and with your brain. I want to get into, we talked about this on the phone. I don't know all the details of your story about faith. You are a man of faith. You
Yes.
are a Christian, but you haven't been to a church in a while. I want to talk about that because there are many Christians out there that I hear sometimes who say the same thing, that, you know, I'm a Christian, but I don't attend a church regularly. Let's talk about that.
Grew up a Baptist, and I met my wife who was Catholic.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So trying to unify the family, I took instructions in Catholicism.
Okay.
Okay. But and here's where the confusion. I had three different points that confused me to some degree. When I was still in the Baptist church, sang in the young adult choir, and on one occasion I was in the back for, I can't remember why, after collection had been taken, and one of the deacons said he made a mistake. He put too much in the collection box and wanted X number of dollars back, or X whatever. I can't. I do what I remember. He wanted some money back.
He wanted a refund.
Okay. Yes. And then we got invited to New York City to sing, and there was deacons up there with someone other than their wives. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Strange women.
Yeah. So
Forbidden women.
Yes. And then when I decided to take lessons in Catholicism because I was marrying a Catholic lady, the priest that was giving me the instructions, he disavowed his vows and ran off and got married. Another sink. Okay. Then at a Catholic bazaar, they were selling dolls, and there was this grandmother. She had a grandchild with her, about 5 or 6. And she saw this little black doll, and she wanted the little black doll, and the grandmother tried to convince her that she would like the little white doll better. Mm-hmm. Now, here she is at a church bazaar, going to church, and just in the back of my mind, I said, I don't want to be around people if they think like this and they're going to church and trying to tell me that they're saved.
Sure.
So I do believe in God. If you've got any ounce of intelligence, you have to know that there is a God, because there are things, we can make an automobile, we can build a building, but we cannot create life. There's too much here to think that it's somebody else or some superpower is not involved.
Right, that's good. Well, so I guess what you're saying is you saw too many inconsistencies.
Yes.
Within churches, be it the Baptist church, with the deacons, with the gentleman wanting a refund from his offering, to traveling and seeing them commit adultery.
Yes.
Those things, and what happened also within the Catholic Church. And I would say to you on that, the Bible says that all have sinned and come short of the glory of God. There are sins of omission and sins of commission. But we have grace and mercy through Jesus Christ. And this mercy and this grace is renewed for us every morning. The only time that the church is perfect is when you cut the lights off, set the alarm, and everyone leaves. The moment the best person in the church walks into that church, just one person, think of the best Christian that you know. Let that person walk into that church. That church now becomes imperfect. What am I saying? I'm saying that man has a propensity to be flawed. And that's why man needed a Savior.